Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Chris Johnson. You're now tuned in to KJ Live. Today's guest on the show went 29-1 during the 2019-2020 season. His team was ranked number 2 in the state of California. He also won the South Coast Conference Coach of the Year. The East LA College crew went on a 25-game winning streak before the season was unfortunately canceled because of COVID. He is the star of Netflix's Last Chance U. Chris Johnson Live is proud to welcome Coach John Mosely to the show. Let's get Coach Mosely up in here. Really excited to have Coach. Coach, what's happening?
Chris, what's up? You got me?
I got you. You got me?
Yeah, I got you, man. No, it's been good, man. It's been pretty busy trying to connect it with folks. I had no idea it was gonna be like this, man. It's crazy. So I know we had a hard time connecting. I was trying to get with you. I told the people at Netflix, I said, man, put my people on. I want to talk to my people first. Yeah. But there's a process and how they want to market the show. So yeah,
exactly. And I appreciate you for moving that ball along, man. I couldn't believe it when you responded so quick, man. My heart dropped, bro. You don't have no idea. I was over here just like celebrating, brother. But let's touch on that.
Oh yeah. Only thing is just y'all city. We hood folks. You Crenshaw.
Yes, sir.
That's the only thing I had against you. I was at Washington, but you Crenshaw. So
I know.
But I said we got to bring the city back, though.
We do. Yeah. LAUSD, the Wash House, Washington Preparatory. Coach, talk about how your life has changed since this show dropped and you received all this notoriety.
You know what? Just a lot of people, just a pouring out of support for I think the message that got out there. I didn't know how it was going to go, man. I was like, man, I'm going to be boring. I thought when they approached me, I said, you know what? I'm going to be boring because, I don't know if I could be as entertaining as those guys were. But I think us just being authentic and true to kind of where I stood and in terms of wearing my faith and all of that, man, and how I was and as a person, the little bit of the city, but I got my education and then I'm wearing my faith there. It's been amazing, man. I just all over the world, man. I thought it was just going to be my homies. Like, hey, man, I saw the show. Good job. And in the basketball community, we know a ton of people. And so they reached out. But then you're talking about all over the world, man. You're talking about Brazil, Australia, the UK. Everybody all over the world is reaching out. And somewhat they said they were inspired.
It was powerful. It was a powerful, not even a performance. They captured you in your essence. In the best, in a very good way. My daughter, Kalila Johnson, who is a 17-year-old senior at Inglewood High School, had this to say about you. Coach Mosely is a God-fearing Christian man that is really trying to help these young black men get a better situation. One of my favorite things about him is the fact that he doesn't cuss, but the way he screams at the players, you would think he dropped all type of cuss words. So that's Kalila. I just want to talk about your approach to managing the different personalities on the JUCO level.
Well, man, like I share with everybody, I see me. That's what I grew up in, and I've seen them do. So I see, like, if they respond a certain way and other people give up on them, other people are like, man, I'm not dealing with that. I can see what's inside of them because that was me. Yeah. I was one of them dudes. That's how we came off. Now, some of us managed it better. You had a dad. I was fortunate enough to have a father, but that's what I grew up in, and that's how I saw the responses, and that's all we knew. Because some of us didn't learn how to that manhood, how to be men and how to respond as men and young men, or not just that, but just respond to adversity.
Coach, Oh, I'm sorry about that, Coach. But I was wondering who taught you or mentored you on how to be a man?
Man, you know what? I had a father. I was fortunate enough. So I'm not going to be the one to say, oh, I was deep in the gutter. No, I grew up in the hood, but I had my dad at home that when I walked through the door, he looked at me and he shared with me how to handle adversity. When I wanted to respond a certain way, it was like, no. That's not how we acted. Here's how you handle it. You know what I'm saying? Because us as young men, we have to respond a different way. And not only that, but as men of color, there's a certain response because there's a stereotype that comes with being a man of color, to be a man in itself. There's a certain stereotype, and to be leaders.
Yeah.
I was taught how to be a leader by my father in terms of I watched him and watched how he carried our household and watch how he led our family. And just that example, man,
Yeah.
seeing those examples, seeing coaches who have great leadership skills, and not just certain coaches, but all the coaches, the leadership capacity. You can learn something from everybody. My pastor said, take in the meat and spit out the bones. So I'm just taking all the meat in, and the bones that I'll just, that's in my tooth, I'll spit that out. And so just seeing great leaders, man, I've been very fortunate. In no way do I know it all, or was I surrounded by or corralled by all these perfect men or perfect people or perfect young ladies, or even my mother, man. She had a monster influence in my life, and teachers and all that. But just being able to see it, man, and be able to grab hold to great leaders and take all that stuff in. And that's what we need. That's what we need as young people. Instead of writing them off, man, we write them off right away because they roll their eyes. All right, man, I ain't going to write you off because I see that diamond that's inside of you. You got a diamond. You got a jewel that's inside of. We just got to cut away, and I see that. And that's where my heart is, man. I just grew up in the hood, and I know if the kid rolls his eyes, I'm like, you know what? He needs to hoop. He wants to hoop. Yes. But he's rolling his eyes at me because nobody ever taught him how to respond to criticism.
No, sir. And I'll tell you something, Coach. I had a chance when I used to coach AAU, right? I coached a player named Demarie Jones. Do you remember Demarie out of Narbonne High School?
Narbonne, he's at
Oral Roberts.
I saw him at Oral Roberts.
Yes, sir. So
listen, man, that's phenomenal.
So listen, Demarie was that kid, rolling eyes, pissed off. You know, he's over off of 45th and Hoover or somewhere over there. So I'm picking him up over there all day long. But as soon as he gets in the car, it's like that whole thing. You can't really talk to the guy. You can't really discuss. So I was pissed off. I was getting mad at first. Like, what's up with this kid? But the more I tried to reach him, the more I tried to connect and get through to him, he started to open up. And then I started to see a completely different side of Demarie. And by the end of it, although we had our ups and downs in a little rocky road because, you know, he wanted to be on the floor the whole game. But we ended up having a beautiful relationship. And that's what I saw with you and some of your guys. Well, we didn't get to see actually the ending of everything. I want to touch on that a little later. But I do want to talk about Joe Hampton. He was a very intriguing figure, reminded me a lot of myself when I was going through my hard head stuff back in the day. Talk about Joe, your relationship with him, and the guidance that you tried to provide him.
Well, the thing is no one has any idea of what he was going through throughout the season. You're talking about a young man who was a 4.5 star. He's out of Oak Hill. All of his peers, man, they all are, you know, they're playing professionally, making money. They're going into high major programs. And then he has some setbacks. And you got to realize, man, you're talking about a kid who's on top of the world, and then he blows out a knee, and then he blows out another knee. And then you're in an environment where it's just not working out. You're not playing well. He hops around to different schools. You have to know the whole story. So before you judge, you have to know the whole story. Everybody, I got a few people text me. Even my auntie, she said, she watched the first episode. Monty said, look, I'm going to come slap you on the head if you don't slap that boy in the head. I'm like, I told my auntie, I said, man, he long gone. He in school now. But she said, you don't let them kids talk to you. You have to know the story and what he's going through. So for me, if I give up on him because he responds a certain way because of all of what he's gone through, you know, there's some stuff that people have done to him at the age of 17 and 18 that we don't know how to at that age. And I don't care what color you are. The things that were done to him at that age, the disappointments, the abandonment. And I'm not talking about abandonment of family. I'm talking about abandonment of support. You know, you're on top of the world and then they abandon you because you're not on top of the world no more. How does that feel as an 18, 19 years old? But when you're 13, you start at 7, 8, 9, 10, where everybody's like, oh, he's going to be this greatest. So you're the greatest for 10 years. And then all of a sudden you lose that support. And it's like, where are you guys at when I make a mistake or when I'm injured or where I'm hurt? And a lot of people don't see that. And that's what I'm about. And I'm like, you know what? This dude still got a diamond in him. The same Joe Hampton is there. It's just all this corrosion that's on him. And all I got to do is chip away. And so I built this hope. And at the beginning, we talked about it. And he, you know, and then right before he was coming, he had, you know, he shared it. So it's okay for me to share it. He had a warrant. He gets a warrant, arrested for that warrant a week before. And I'm like, no, God, I can't believe I built this hope up. Like, Joe, we going to make it happen. And then this happens. We wrote a letter to the judge. And fortunately, the judge let him go. And then under terms, we like, if we can just get through this year, all those terms would be dropped. And, you know, I don't want to share all of his story, but it's amazing. That was the journey me and him are going through. Joe, we got to get through this so that forget basketball, you can get past this other stuff.
Yeah.
And then not only he gets past that, the story is amazing. And you know, I think they had to build a story up, which I'm fine with sharing all of those demonstrative moments from him. And well, what is Coach Mosely going to do about it? Well, you know, there was a lot of conversations behind closed doors that we had to handle.
Yeah.
There's stuff when he is having those outbreaks. It is not because of basketball. It is something going on. And so I just let him go and have that moment and let him come back and say, okay, remember the goal is to use this basketball as a vehicle. We're going to get through that off-court stuff. And he got through it.
Yeah. The thing that really resonated with me was when you talked to Joe, it was always about the response. It's always about your response, how you handle adversity when things, you know, how you deal with stuff. And that to me resonated. The other thing that I loved from you when you were hooping against the guys in practice, you got all turned up. You got in Joe's face. Hey, man, I seen you 30 times. I seen about 30 versions. I seen about 30 versions of you, brother. And that I got geeked on that because we've seen it. We've seen it. Big, talented, skilled guys that don't necessarily have it all together off the court, but have it all together on the floor. But off the court affects the on the court coach. Moving on, though, Coach, I wanted to talk about and for you to describe your relationship with Deshaun Hyler. He was that episode with his mom and the situation with her passing away. My first thought process was, how did you and your staff provide emotional support to this young man during those times?
Well, you know, one of the biggest things is to kind of be normal and to try to treat him, because you can enable him as well. You can enable him. So Deshaun was tough. He was stubborn, feisty. I call him a jerk. You know, he was a jerk, but he was like Coach Rob said, he was the most likable a-hole, you know, the most likable jerk, because you knew when his back's against the wall, again, you can see what he had inside of him. Sure. I'll tell you a quick story, and I shared before, just, you know, one of my favorite moments that was not on the show. We were in the vans. We had won a tournament down in San Diego. It was right after Christmas. And, you know, the Last Chance U and Netflix team, man, they shared they kind of, you know, our privacy, man. They protected it. But we're down there, man. We win this game. Everybody's celebrating. It's great, man. All the families are down there for whatever reason. I think it was San Diego. You know, it's 2 hours away. Everybody wanted to get away right after Christmas. Everybody's still on vacation, 2000. He was sick, too. Hey, a bunch of us was sick. This was December 2019. So who knows what that was, right? I don't want to say. But he was sick. Right. We won the tournament. We had like 4 guys sick. We won the tournament. I think it was San Diego, Southwestern. They were number 4. I think we had somebody else was number 20. We beat both of those teams. And so we're like, okay, great. Yeah. We all in the vans. We got to drive. Coach Rob driving the van. I'm driving the van. And then I said, where's Deshaun? I look outside the back. Man, Deshaun is out there crying. I'm like, oh, man. What else has happened? I'm like, shoot. And Deshaun don't cry. Because he like, man, screw all y'all. I ain't scared of none of y'all. So he don't cry. He out there crying. I said, something's wrong. And I looked around. His girlfriend was out of town. And I realized he ain't got no family here. Usually he got somebody, a homie or somebody. Nobody was there. Like everybody had their family. And then I get out and I said, well, what's going on? Everybody's in the van. He's around there crying, walking in circles, wiping his eyes. He falls on me, you know, mostly a lot of it because he's sick. And then he's just all of a sudden he falls on me. He said, Coach, I just want to talk to her, Coach. Okay. He said, I just want to talk to her. And then I'm just like, you know, we shared like tears for like 10 minutes. I said, man, you got me to always talk to. I said, you mine forever, bro. And to this day, me and Deshaun, we still talk every couple of days. So that relationship is there, and they help him through all of. I was normal. We were trying to help him through the legal stuff. He has so much legal stuff he had to go through. Forget the emotional. And Deshaun still needs to grieve. You know, because he's still going. Deshaun is going. Deshaun's like, Coach, I'm gonna be a millionaire. Real estate. He called me up. Hey, Coach, man, I got this real estate deal. And I'm like, Deshaun, just finish your education. So, you know, he still hasn't properly grieved. But I think this right here is helping him because everybody loves his story, that Deshaun is getting a chance to finally grieve. And I just thank everybody who's on and who's listening for allowing him to grieve through his story. Yes. You know,
a very important process for him. Coach, you seem to give out a lot of emotional energy to your players. How important is the work, personal life, family life balance to you, and how do you handle that?
Well, I'm here because of that reason. I'm gonna be sincere 100% when I go walk through the door. But man, for me, I think even as an example to have a family and to be able to balance that and show that example, kind of it brings credibility when I walk in the locker room.
Yeah.
You know, they say, okay, here's a family man, Coach Mosely. When I sit Joe Hampton down and I'm here in the office, he knows that I'm sincere because when I leave, I'm not going and getting faded and cheating on my wife. I'm going home. I'm going to pick up my son. I'm going to spend time with my family. I'm doing those type of things. And so I think that brings credibility not only to me, but to our program. And I don't do it for that reason. It's because of my faith. You know, I believe that God called me to be a man of God in terms of taking care of my family, in terms of that's where it starts, you know, in our society. I think we're having a lot of issues in our society, and it stems from our homes. It stems from our families. And if it starts there, the leadership there, and now we're building up our children, you know, you sharing nuggets to your children as well. It starts with sharing those nuggets and really building that foundation with our children and showing that dynamic. And then they take that family dynamic out there on the streets and into the world. And I think that's important. So, and I don't do it for that reason, man. I think that's just what God called me to do, is to be a leader of my home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Coach, I was, you know, some people were wondering and asking me to ask you, what would you think you would be doing if you weren't coaching?
That's crazy. I don't know. I might jump into ministry, man. I thank God he gave me this because, you know, in my heart, it's like, man, you know, I feel like I should be sharing the gospel. You know, I should be sharing my faith. And man, those pastors, I don't know if I could do it. And my hat's off to them. So I thank God that he gave me a platform where I got the best of both worlds. Man, I can share my faith, and then I can also coach basketball, man, and spend time with my family and coach my kids and just all of that. So maybe some of that, man. I can't see myself in a shirt and tie. I got to be with people. I got to be in this environment where there's a level of engaging competition.
Yes.
So there's I have to compete, but I have faith. So I don't know. I gotta compete. You know, if I was as a teacher, hey, when we do these spin classes that I was on, I'm competing with the other spin teachers. I'm looking in her classroom. I'm like, man, she got 40. I only got 35 in my class. What do I got to do to get 45? I'm going to beat all the teachers and load my classes up. So in everything I do, I got to compete. So whatever I be doing, it be competition, but also sharing my faith. So this is a perfect balance.
Yeah. After having what I think it was the best season in school history at 29-1, you guys are on the bus about to go up north for the state. I think you made the Elite Eight, right? Or was it that?
Yeah. So that's going into the Elite Eight. And
then you get the call that the season is shut down because of COVID. How did that affect you and your staff and your players?
Yeah. Well, first, man, all that stuff is authentic. I did not know they were even recording me. I was sitting there on the phone. My athletic director had already went up and he said, okay, it's no fans, da-da-da-da. But then he calls me again right as I'm walking out the door. The bus is loaded. Everybody's loaded. All we got to do is just hop on. We taking our time with the snacks and just, you know, Gatorades, and we just ready to go. And then he calls me, bro, and literally I got tears. And the thing about it, it wasn't about basketball. It was not about it was like, man, I felt like I let those guys down because I'm like, I told them if they just do this, and this. Every year I'm like, just do this, and this. And it wasn't about winning the state championship. It was about getting them to the next space, getting them to that next place and moving on. And part of that process is the higher you go, the bigger stage you get on. You know, it's just like the university level, man. Yeah. The bigger stage you get on, you know, like all those guys, you know, at UCLA now. Yeah. Now, you know, more opportunity. Now, you know, he might have some issues because guys they might have a chance to leave now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, had they not made the tournament, they'd all be walking back through the door the next year, you know. So that's the same thing with us. It's like all you need is get to a few more games in, and that changes your life. So that one game, that one extra game can change their lives. And I feel like I let them down because I told them, I said, man, if we could just get there, it can change your life. And so I felt like I let them down. It wasn't about, man, I'm a coach I'm a coach for more years to come. I got plenty of years to win a state championship. And, you know, I know they built it up like that that really doesn't matter. I feel like at some point I'll win a state championship. But, man, those guys, I felt like I let them down, man. And that's what That's what kind of hurt me so much. I felt like, gosh, man,
No, I
I
feel you.
felt bad for Joe. Joe's emotion was because Joe had turned the corner.
I know.
Deshaun had turned the corner. Joe said, I'm with you now, coach.
I
They was
know.
all like, coach, I'm rocking with you. Let's go, coach. I'm a believer now, coach.
Oh
And right
man.
as they said, I'm a believer, and that emotion, Joe was like, I got to get the hell out of here, coach. This is too much for me.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was real. I let him. I felt like I let him down.
You didn't let him down, coach. You got him there. You brought him to that point. You mean so much to those young men's lives. But I do understand the pressure that you put on yourself and the standard that you hold yourself
Mm-hmm.
to. I mean, that was an amazing thing. But let me ask you this: I want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about your program. What should
Mm-hmm.
basketball players, athletes expect at East LA College when they do sign up for John Mosely?
Well, when you walk through the door, you know, I literally say you're going to start bleeding. You're going to get popped in the mouth. It's physicality, it's toughness. And I'll share this, Chris. They didn't show as much, and I'm glad because I don't want necessarily everybody to see my philosophies and how we get down for real. They, you know, some of the games they show we getting beat off the dribble. I'm like, wait a minute. We don't get beat off the dribble. The 5 times that we get beat off the dribble, they show it. Or the 5 times we get beat. You know, you see we'll go into the game and then all of a sudden we blow somebody out by 20 or 30.
Yeah.
It's because of, and then execution, it's like we're turning the ball over, we're taking bad shots. They didn't show it. But you have to expect, and I know you'll like this one, I run the UCLA high post offense, okay?
Nice.
So I run it out of the one guard set.
Yeah.
My mentor, Bill Oates, was with Athletes in Action.
Okay.
When back in the 70s, John Wooden was his color commentator. So all I knew was the high post offense. So John Wooden and my mentor were close friends. They used to go to breakfast every week.
Wow.
I used to only get a breakfast once a year. I used to say, like, let me go. I used to get a breakfast once a year. So for all the UCLA people, I'm a UCLA high post offense guy. Now, here's the problem, though. My wife went to USC.
Oh.
So, and I told her I was coming on with you. She was like, look, just tell him, you know, she said, you know, fight on. That's what she told me to say. But I'm a UCLA guy in terms of the offense. But I run the high post offense. We're going to pound it in.
Yeah.
And I know we're in that phase where it's space and pace and all that. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that wins ball games. But the reason why we're usually one of the biggest teams in the state, because I'm like, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to shove it. And I think physicality and size and all that still has its place in the game. And I have nothing against the 3-ball, that space and pace. I'm scared to death of it because we do have size. Yeah. But at the same time, that's what we do. It's physicality, it's toughness. We don't call fouls for like 2 months.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
So guys are bleeding. And I think that's where some of the toughness and the physicality comes from. That's the mindset is respect and toughness. Respect everything. You don't come in here entitled. I love when big names come in our gym, they get the hell slapped out of them.
Yeah.
And then they realize what we're about. And you know what? Sometimes they walk away and be like, man, they done. But if you come in there and you walk in and you have that class with us and you engage in that and you respond to that, you're the guy I want.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got that underdog mentality because I'm an underdog. Yeah. You know, Chris, I was good, but I was right. But, you know, I wasn't legend like you and your pops, and I wasn't a legend like like all y'all at Crenshaw, but I was just good enough to always be there and be relevant. Okay, so let me clear that up. So I'm not going to say I was this super great all-star, but every time I went into the door of any gym I went to, I was good enough and I was relevant and I made my mark. And so I come with that same mentality every single day. And the guys, and that's kind of the mindset, that's the philosophy we come with when you walk through the door. So all that soft Hollywood stuff, man, I don't care who you are, what high school you come from, that soft Hollywood stuff, I'll take the dude that's going to stink it. You getting popped in the mouth when you walk through the door. So anybody who want to come in is Hollywood. That's Hollywood. You can walk right back out the door. We don't need that.
Dogs only, it sounds like, Coach. Dogs only. Coach, last question before I let you go. One of your statements was that in the series, basketball doesn't build character, basketball reveals character. Talk to me about that and what that means to you. Yeah, so as I shared about Joe and Deshaun, everybody's looking at Joe and how he pouts or complains. But if you notice, they showed his flashes. And what were his flashes? His flashes were when he said, don't get me started. And he started diming people off. Joe is the most likable teammate. He is the most unselfish teammate that you can imagine. And a lot of people, you can't see that.
And so that's the diamond I see. He's unselfish. He wants to win. He wants to be great. He just had all his dramas that surround him, and everybody a lot of people gave up on him. And so the diamonds that are inside of all these young men, I look and I see, I was that bad little class clown that was told to go sit in the corner. But what was inside of me, some people saw and some people didn't. Some people saw me as a bad, headache. And he talks too much and he's irritated. I don't see that. I see what's inside. So the basketball that I saw in Joe, his unselfishness, his IQ. Joe, everybody, how come he's not starting? Man, y'all know Joe missed a couple days. Come on, man. Yeah, everybody, why ain't Joe starting? Man, come on, man. We ain't even got to go there, man. You already know. If you're a basketball dude or a coach, you know why Joe wasn't starting, man. Come on.
We know what time
it was. But let me tell you something, man. When Joe walked through the door, I have never had a player. He would look. I put in a play that he ain't even seen, and he look at it, and then that Joe will hop in and execute it better than the dudes who did it 100 times. The reason why is because Joe understood the purpose of movement. He understood, like a lot of people understood the movement. Okay, let me go and set a screen and then roll and then pop and then do this and then back screen and then back flare, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Joe, he saw it and he knew the concept. So he didn't have to know the play. He knew the concept and he naturally went where he was supposed to go. Wow. That's a pro. That's a pro.
That is
and his IQ's off the chart. His heart for his teammates off the chart. All we needed to fix was his response. Nothing else.
Yeah.
And then he had to get out in the stance a little bit more.
Yeah. And my dad just commented, what's the over under on Joe showing up today when they caught you?
Exactly. So I'm glad they put that, because some of the haters, they be like, coaches, he favoring, he ain't playing Joe. Man, you know what's up with that, man. You know what's up with Joe.
No doubt, Coach, man. So it was a riveting series, brother. But more importantly, great job on mentoring our young men. You do it for all the right reasons. We're very proud of you, proud of all the notoriety you're getting, but proud of the work that you're doing. You don't care about the notoriety. I'll be real. You care about affecting young people's lives. And for that, my man, you are a true legend, Coach Mosely. I'm going to have to let you go. Thank you so much for joining the show, my brother. And I would love to have you on again just to talk hoops at some point, because this is a basketball show. You know what I'm saying? We do talk hoops on here. We do talk hoops on here.
Yeah, tell them I want to talk about the Crenshaw battles in the 90s. And your pops and just the 90s. And,
we'll bring you back.
I coached Reggie McFerrin. I mean, it's a lot, man.
Where'd you coach Reggie?
I was at Masters College. After he left Kansas State, he came up. Man, like we could talk, man. It's all of that stuff. Yeah, all of the guys in the battles and just all the guys from the 80s.
We gonna do it. We gonna do it again. We gonna do it again. Coach Mosely, thank you so much. I appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. Coach John Mosely, thank you, sir.
For sure. All right, Chris. Yeah. Peace.